Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Queen's Park for Life. As always, I'm your host Glenn Marshall. This week on the show, we have ladies' favourite, Dion Cameron in for the week. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks Glenn. Pleasure to be here, even though you pay me big money.
Yeah, you definitely blew, I blew the budget this week on getting this boy in.
Yeah, fair enough too. Good luck to the rest of the guys with no money on board.
Unfortunately, we don't have game highlights available for this week. The boys were up in Timaru, but we did have the game on in the club rooms last night with a few of the members watching, so we'll have a chat about that later. But yeah, just to start us off, Dion, how long have you sort of been playing football and how did you end up at Queen's Park?
Yeah, well, bit of a story at my tender age. Bit of a late bloomer, to be fair. I started playing footy. I come from a household that was quite a strong rugby household. Dad played rugby for Southland, so it was quite prominent at home. So I started off playing rugby and sort of one day got dragged along to a footy game from a mate and just sort of filled in for them at sweeper, and then all of a sudden found a bit of a hunger for the game and seemed to be reasonably good at it and carried on from there. So it was probably about 12 years old when I first started playing. And the first season I started playing, we made a rep team, the Southland rep team, so that kind of gave me an indication that I was doing something right.
Yeah.
And it was a cool experience at the same time to be involved in that environment at such a young age. So yeah, started playing when I was 12, come up through Thistle, started actually at Thistle, which is probably, not sure if everyone knows that, so that might hurt a few people, or the Tartan Army might be celebrating that one, don't know, either way.
Do they want to claim you?
Yeah, this is true. So we started off at Thistle in the juniors there and come sort of through into 15th, 16th, I think, at Wahaupai, and stayed there for a good period of time, right through into the senior ranks, through to Southern League and all the rest there. Made the transition across to Park, I should know, but probably about 5 years ago now. I think it's about 5 years, something like that. Yeah. And that was due mainly to the fact had a few mates who already played here, Burgee and Lloydie and whatnot. And of course, Big Kev was quite prominent in leaning in my ear and having a quiet word and getting the checkbook out. So across we came, and I've been here ever since. So that's pretty much start to finish. Yeah.
You're actually running an academy for us. How's that been going? What sort of made you decide to set that up?
Yep, yeah, we've got the QP Academy up and running. 2 years we've been running now, which has been a really cool experience. Something for me of having young kids that play the game. And sort of following junior football for a while now, we sort of realised there was a bit of a gap or a bit of a hole where kids weren't quite getting the exposure to good quality coaching all year round or outside of football.
Yep.
Kids would quite often turn up to the season a little bit underdone or a little bit out of touch. And the kids are hungry for it too. Like, kids want to be playing sport all the time.
Yeah.
But all the kids we have want to be playing football 24/7, so it's quite an easy thing for us. So we took that on board. We've got quite a few coaches. We actually do use everyone within the club, but quite a few of the younger players coming through. So our young academy players can look up to these guys that they see out playing, league.
It's perfect, isn't it?
DG. Yeah.
You're getting coached by guys that are out there playing Southern League football,
Absolutely, And it was for us, or for me anyway, it was having a talk with Paddy Murphy. We sort of modelled it around overseas clubs, the Premier League, where they have a youth football system, a youth academy system that all the young players come through and end up playing for the top grades, much like they do now with like Spinney and Cam Johnson and all those boys that are sort of, Caden Castle, all of them that are coming through the ranks and are now at the top level. That's something we just hope to replicate and sort of keep that football factory, I guess, running through the club.
Yeah. It's sort of the plan to keep it rolling over every year, isn't it? So we've got youth coming through each year. We've sort of got a bit of a gap at the moment, I think, don't we? We don't have a 15th, 16th grade team this year, do we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that's probably highlighted the fact that why we do need this. Just to have that continuity or the continuation of players coming through that system. And yeah, you're right. So that was probably the alarm bell, but I think now we've sort of remedied that. We've got a really good crop of young players sort of coming through, 12th, 13th grade, but even below that now we've got some really good young talent coming through, which is awesome. And it puts the club in a good position going forward if we're going to commit to these high grade level of football ongoing,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's good.
Absolutely. So you obviously enjoy your coaching. Have you sort of got any plans to maybe step up to senior level and do a bit of coaching there, or?
Yeah, it's a funny one actually. Most people probably do have aspirations to take things to the next step, I guess you could say. Senior football for me is quite funny because you end up with sort of helping out on the sidelines now with different grades throughout the last couple of years, but you end up with players that, I don't know, they're probably already know it all. I quite like, that's why I like dealing with the academy kids. They're hungry for football, they want to learn, they're like a sponge, and they'll just take it all in, they'll take on all the advice you can give them, and they'll sort of, use that in the best way possible. So I do enjoy, I can only, at the moment anyway, I can only really see myself with the junior kids and probably looking to hold on to that role where we're developing the youth. I do enjoy it, and probably it's quite a rewarding experience with the juniors. So, don't know, I always thought maybe the next step might be helping out with the women or something like that, and sort of look to see how that goes. But yeah, it's, like anything, it's a bit of a commitment. So at this stage, pretty happy with where things are at, but in saying that, who knows what's around the corner.
Fair enough, mate. So who sort of, did you have players that inspired you growing up when you sort of started getting into football? Local or international players? Obviously you're an Arsenal fan, so you've had a bad night, but
we won't go there. Hey, good question. To be fair, I sort of grew up in watching football from a young age. 12 years onwards. Sort of started watching Premier League, was probably the big thing back then in the sort of 90s. It was,
when Arsenal were good.
Yeah. When they were sort of winning trophies, which is, seems to be a really long time ago now. But so I sort of grew up through that era. So for me, watching footballers play, probably I sort of grew up with the Tony Adams, the Martin Keown, like the really hard old school defenders. So those are the guys I probably looked up to. But in saying that, back in those days, I was playing more of an attacking role when I was younger, believe it or not. So I was probably more following, actually one of the players I really admired was Patrick Vieira. He was a player that I thought was just he was the package. He had everything he could offer, and he had that mongrel about him and that old school mentality. He was sort of up for it.
He was a great player, wasn't he?
Yeah, and probably actually locally, the one I would touch on would be, had the pleasure of training in the Southland squad with him. Never got to play alongside him. It was back in, I think he played for Southland in 97, 98, was Mike McGarry. Oh, yeah. Ended up playing against him in Southern League when he played for Mosgiel, but he would be one of the players that I found, even coming through the senior ranks, that was a huge player. Like the kind of guy, hard to explain, but technically gifted, probably one of the most gifted footballers New Zealand's produced, and just a leader on the pitch. And some of the things, he just made football look so simple. Even we're coming up against the guy when he was probably 40s, 50s, and he was still carving up.
Still dominating.
Yeah, so he was a very influential player for me. Seeing him when he played for Southland and training with him was just that next level. He'd come from an all-white setup, so he sort of set the bar really high. So that was, as a youngster or sort of coming into that senior role, he was very much someone I looked up to anyway.
Who's been the most influential coach you've played under?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, obviously playing football for a number of years now, lucky enough to have some really good coaches, actually. And that's probably part of why I'm quite keen to give back to the sport, because I understand how much of an important role that plays. Even starting out, when I very first started out, the person that probably showed me football, actually, local guy, Pete McAnally, a lot of people will know, and he sort of just introduced me to the game. So I was always thankful for that, because it's given me a pretty good life football-wise. So he was sort of my first coach, and I'll always be grateful to Pete for giving me the opportunity and helping me out in those initial years. I had some good coaches. I had Kenny Creswell was someone I always respected. Played a similar position, and again, been involved with the all-white setup. He was someone I looked up to and someone I took a lot from. Johnny Herdman, who's now taken the Canadian men's team to
World Cup.
World Cup. Yeah, he's I had the honour of sort of playing under him for a while in the Southland setup when he was down here, and that was awesome. He was a very, very switched on individual, so where he is now does not surprise me. Probably the most influential, I would have to say, coach-wise, would be, it's going back, Hughie Scott, actually, Wahaupai days over the road here, Southern League coach, old school. Very much like an Alex Ferguson type of guy. He was a big dude, really massive presence physically.
Throwing boots in the changing room.
Yeah, probably not quite that far, but he had this real presence about him, and he just commanded respect. And he had this real gravelly voice, and he's a bit of a grump. But he was actually the coach when I was sort of coming into Southern League as a youngster. And you looked up to him, you didn't ever mess with him, and he ran the team didn't run him, and there was just a real no-nonsense approach, which I really respected. Back in those days, football might have been a little bit different. Yeah. Nowadays, I don't know that too many players would cope with that kind of coach, but the way what he got out of the players because of the style of coaching that he had, for me was a real eye opener actually, and it's probably a little bit of the game that I feel these days is lacking and probably missing. But yeah, Huey Scott was awesome actually. He was probably one of the best coaches for that reason.
Oh,
definitely.
Cool. If you had sort of one bit of advice that is there something you carry through your academy sessions where there's just one thing you want to drill into the younger kids as a bit of advice, just in general, you know?
It's probably a hard one actually, because I would talk a lot, believe it or not. And the kids always say, we do have the same sort of things that we go over and we try and drum into them. We have a sort of a system that we play, all about, Paddy's spoken about it in recent weeks, about position, keeping hold of the ball, and trying to win the ball back as quick as we can. We sort of try not to let the opposition have the ball too much, and it's more about the work we do off the ball. And that's hard because it's more of the older players that we try and drum that into. But if I had to nail it down to one thing, man, honestly, simply it would be attitude. That's something that can't be coached. If you turn up with a good attitude, then we're willing to help you. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have a good attitude, you're probably not going to go the distance. So attitude for me would be number one. You've got to be hungry. You've got to want to be out there. You've got to want to win football matches, and you've got to want to learn. So definitely attitude, mentally and physically, the way you carry yourself on and off.
Attitude's definitely a huge factor, especially in younger grades, isn't it? Like, if you're carrying a bad attitude there, it doesn't sort of bode well for senior football.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we say to the kids too. Like, you know, you're either winning or learning. There's no losses. You've got to take it away and take something out of the game and think about your next game and how you might do something a little bit differently. So the kids are good about that, and that's probably something I would say would be number one would be attitude.
So you're obviously a busy man on Saturdays. You've got a bit going on, don't you? Coaching a team, still playing. Sort of take us through a Saturday for you. Obviously, the first thing you do is sort of wake up and get a haircut, and then what happens after that, mate? Take us through a normal Saturday for you.
It's a good point, actually. You touched on a couple of good points. The haircut start on Friday. So.
Oh, true. Sorry.
No, actually, no. But in saying that, in all seriousness, it probably does start on a Friday for us. Prep starts on Friday. Friday nights, we usually go through. Well, usually getting phone calls and messages from Corey and what's happening with the team this week and whatnot. So that probably starts Thursday, Friday. But as far as the Saturday prep goes, we sort of Friday night we go through a bit of tactical stuff with the juniors and what we're lining up to do there. Make sure all the bags are packed, the family's ready to go with all of them on board this season. So in recent season. So we get up Saturday morning, sort of 6 o'clock-ish, have a big breakfast, load up. Get all the gear loaded in, make sure we go over any tactics at the breakfast table with both the boys, so sit them down and make sure they know what they're up to for the day and what's in front of them. So we do that, then load the gear in, head off. We do a gym session at our gym for 8 o'clock till 9. And 9 o'clock we're pretty much out the door, straight to junior footy, and then it all starts from there. So, and then of course junior footy pack up, quick bit of lunch if we've got time, and then into the senior stuff, and then.
It's hard work when you got the kids away to Gore or something, isn't it? And you're coming back for a 1 o'clock kick-off.
You throw a wee road trip in there and it's a really big spanner in the works. And then hopefully you get back in time to support the other teams and get back in the club for a beer or something afterwards. So it's a big day, but I mean that's what part of being a club is all about, and that's hopefully people see that. And a parent
as well, isn't it? That's part of it.
Yep, absolutely.
Supporting your kids.
Yep, 100%. And hopefully people see that. I mean, people see that, hey, there's people living and breathing in a club, and we need that, every club does.
Yep.
So.
It's all run on volunteers, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a cheeky wee question here. So obviously you've got the two sons, Cohen and Archie.
Yep.
Who's the better footballer between them?
Oh, I'm actually.
Who do you think is going to go on to high honours? Let's say.
Yeah, geez, that's not a tough question. I'm actually a little bit offended you left Olive out of the equation. She'll be gutted at home.
No. I left her out because she's already above. Yeah, well,
this is true, and she'll tell you that as well. Hey, look. Oh, that is tough. Yeah, both boys play different positions. Archie's, I can obviously lend myself a little bit better to Arch, who plays at the back or in the midfield. Cohen's a striker, so I've never really been able to understand that. But in saying that, look...
That's true, I've seen you play up front actually.
Yeah.
You've got no
Once
idea.
upon a time, but no more. Cohen is going to be a very good number 9, if he sticks at it, and I mean everything he carries through, he'll be a great number 9, especially for this club and hopefully higher on. Like I said, Archie, he's a defender. He's got a really good attitude. And he reminds me a lot of me, probably as a kid. He throws his body around and puts his body on the line. Very committed, wants to do well. So they both offer different things, and it will be very interesting for me to see how that develops.
How far apart are they in years?
Yeah, I should know. Cohen, 2 years, 2 years apart.
2 years apart.
Yep, yeah, just under 2 years apart. So there is a wee age gap there, and both of them have always been pushed through by their own doing above their age level, so we can sort of test them out, and they're both keen for that to sort of see how far they can take it. But hey, look, if Cohen's a good wee basketballer as well, so that may end up being the sport of his choice. I don't know, with kids these days, who does know? But yeah, to put money on who would go further in football now would be a real tough one, and you'd have to be a brave man. So I just hope they both stick at it, both enjoy it and get something out of it. So
That's definitely a beautiful politician's answer there, mate.
Yeah, true story. Yeah.
So just sort of we change of tack. What do you have going on outside of football? You know, you've obviously got your business local pack that you're now running and fit for you, obviously.
Yep.
That'll keep you busy. How are they going? Yeah,
good. Yeah. I'm sort of a strong believer in if you're not busy out there doing it, you're standing still, and if you're standing still, nothing's happening. So, and again, I'm not getting any younger, so we've got to do it while we can. But yeah, for me, we run two businesses, my wife Renee and I, and the family. They're a big part of that. So we run the gym, which is cool. It sort of ties in with what we're doing with football and fitness and different things like that. So it's a good correlation there. And local pack, so that's I sort of fell into the packaging industry 10 years ago, and sort of found that I knew a bit about it and did reasonably well. Talked to people, which is, as you can imagine, something I enjoy doing, talking. And that sort of just went hand in hand with selling stuff to people and developed from there. And then just took the natural progression, I guess, to open our own business, and it's actually going really, really well. So lucky, like in football circles, lucky everywhere, we've got the support of local people, ILT, these kind of guys that support our business and want to keep their money locally. So that's been hugely helpful, actually. But good, going really well, just busy, real busy. And then, of course, doing our club stuff and academy stuff and all the rest of it as well, and then trying to fit in a haircut each week. So it's tough going. It's all timetabled and all scheduled, but no, it's busy, and lucky I've got the support of the family, who's often dragged to gym sessions or out on the road doing deliveries or something. So it's a real family effort.
So as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately we don't have a highlights package this week, as it was an away game in Timaru and I had to play, unfortunately, yesterday. But we did have the game on here, and sort of was a bit of a tough watch, wasn't it? 5-1 loss to Northern Hearts. Tough going away, tough driving up to Timaru and playing in the same day, but probably just want a bit more from the boys, didn't we? It just sort of fell apart there in the second half.
Yeah, probably, if I'm being brutally honest, probably lucky there's not a highlights package, because it wouldn't be very big, and if it was, it would all be for them.
Yeah.
It's always a tough trip up there, as we know. Like, a lot of the boys have been there before, travelling all the way out there, having to get off the bus and play a game of footy. Against any side at home's tough, but that 5-hour trip or 5.5-hour trip, man, it's tough going, But yeah, hey, look, man, if I'm being honest with you, from a defender's point of view, I know Paddy should be agreeing with me. Watching the game play out, it's sort of, they scored, I think it was 2-1 at half time, and they scored pretty much straight after we equalised.
Yeah.
And the second goal and the third goal, actually, you'd be asking questions of what's going on, and there's a couple of situations there where I thought, man, we're better than this, and we just sort of seem to be opening the gates for them to come straight through the middle. And as a defender, you look at that and think, man, what's actually happening? But
it was a wee bit sort of deflating, wasn't it? We got the equaliser, and so there was a good vibe happening.
Yeah,
there was a good vibe going on here. We're like, righto, here we go.
Yeah.
What can we do?
Yeah.
But 30 seconds later, they didn't equalise. They went in front again.
That's right.
Killer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long before half time, and it just sort of went downhill from there. Really, it just looked messy, didn't it?
It did, and you're right, Glenn. To be fair, I think we sort of looked like we lost a little bit of focus there, and we sort of get carried away with. We created a really good chance, and I think Georgie had a header on goal, and we're all, everyone's excited about that. But then Hearts grab the ball, go down the other end of the field, and tuck one away. So it's sort of like we had that momentary lapse where, at that level of footy, you just can't switch off, as we know. So that's probably something Paddy will address with the lads, I would imagine. And again, it could be something attributed to the 5-hour trip where you sort of, you get off the bus and it is difficult to focus for the full 90. But if we're going to be picking up points, then we need to be targeting these sorts of games against the teams that are likely to be around us and grab those points.
Yeah.
But
and again, look, it's a long season. We're 3 games into an 18-game season, so there's nothing to panic about yet.
No, exactly. Plenty to work on, but you wouldn't expect anything less from your first season in the league. And hey, look, the lads will pick themselves up. They've got a quick turnaround against South City Royals this week, Friday, so it'll be a tough challenge for the boys, but I think they need a quick turnaround after a performance
Yeah,
like that.
Sometimes that can sort of galvanise you, can't it? Quick turnaround, you don't have time to dwell on the loss, just get into it again.
Absolutely. And hey, young squad as well, you've got to be realistic, and young bunch of guys, they're going to pick up very valuable experience being in this league. So there is positives and plenty to work on at the same time. So
we scored a goal from open play. I guess that's positive to look at.
Yeah, and that's at a time when I don't think we're creating, and Paddy should agree, I don't think we're creating more than enough chances. We look like we're really lacking in that sort of creative role. Going forward, we just need to hopefully look to create a wee bit more somehow.
And you couldn't really blame Chris for any of the goals, to be fair. I think it was the third goal. It was an absolute rocket, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great finish, actually.
And that boy got a hat-trick.
Man, they could have had a couple more, if I'm being honest with you too. There's a couple of finishes they should have probably tucked away. Chris did make a couple of good saves. He came flying out of his box, as Chris tends to do a couple of times, and gave us a couple of nervous moments, but thankfully they didn't score. But hey, he's doing a job there, and you've got to respect the guy. He's a good keeper, a really good keeper, and he's not getting any younger, but he's holding his own. So yeah, it was good. And
we did have pre-season games as well yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
So there was the Donald Gray side. We had a 1-1 draw against the Southland under-18s, which was disappointing because we were 1-0 up. And pretty much last kick of the game, they scored from a free kick. It was disappointing, but it didn't matter at the end of the day. We just had to go and beat Thistle anyway, but we lost that, unfortunately, 3-0. So Thistle got that. I mean, we knew it was going to be a tough game, that anyway. Like we're playing, our reserve team is now playing Prem teams, so that's always going to be tough. It's going to be a tough season for the boys, but we'll be right. I think it wasn't a disaster. They scored 3 headed goals. Like just they got a big man up front. He's a bit of a killer with that, but what else was it? Div 1, you're on Duolingo, aren't you? You learned a bit of Spanish, mate.
Yeah. Trying our best to get, we've got a nice wee blended team going on there. And the boys done really well, actually, and it's difficult because there's obviously a language barrier there, but man, we put together some good passages of play, and we played against a very spirited Southend United team.
When aren't they?
Yeah, well, this is true. It was a good wee ding-dong battle, as you'd like to put it. They're always up for a challenge, both physically and verbally, which is good fun. But hey, look, like I say, we've got a blended team, and the guys done really well. I think we come back from 3-1 down. We're 2-1 down. We come back to win the game 3-2. So couple of screamers or Hazard's goal to win the game for us from the sideline. I don't think he knew a lot about, but we'll claim it and we'll take it. And it was a good result. And again, like every other team in Park this year, the resources are a little bit stretched, but we'll just do our best to sort of graft out and grab some results. And yeah, that was good.
But thankfully we've got the women, don't we? The women seem to carry this club just when we need them to, So they came home with the pre-season trophy, a 5-0 win over Old Boys, I believe it was.
Yeah.
To go along with their draw with Thistle, and I'm not too sure how it worked, but they must have won on goal difference, I'm assuming. Yeah, well, hey, cometh the woman. Like they stepped up. And unfortunately, I didn't see that game. I was playing at the same time, so I'm not sure. And I don't think you saw the game.
No, we were tied up here with the DG. So from Leanne's account of things, they went pretty well. I think they got a couple of goals. They scored a couple of soft goals. I think the Old Boys goalkeeper was not flash initially, and they scored a couple of soft goals, which gave the girls a bit of a bounce. And then after that, she was sort of one-way traffic. But that's good. It's showing good signs because I know Leanne's got a new squad thrown together, and she hasn't quite got the players of last year to work with, so that's a good result. It's awesome. Good to see the club still winning trophies. Yeah, they haven't lost the game in about 2 years still. So exactly. Good on them. Oh well, it's that time of the week, mate, where we put the guests to the test. See what you did there. So we'll crank things off with the Who Am I, as always. Obviously, just to sort of recap, it's 50 points if you get on the first clue, 40 on the second, and so forth. Yep. If you don't get it after the 5th, you're muppet. So. Wow. Yeah, I certainly hope so, but I'm sure you pulled some obscure Turkish midfielder from the Albanian 3rd division for me to try and pick. So I'm looking forward to this one. Yeah, totally. Righto, Dion, who am I? I was born on the 22nd of October, 1949 in Europe. In Europe? Yeah. 49. Jeez, he's not a young person, that's for sure. Man, Europe, 49. Johan Cruyff.
No, not Johan Cruyff. Not a bad guess, but no, wrong. I'm currently serving as FIFA's Chief of Global Football Development.
Oh, I should know this, shouldn't I? But I don't. Franz Beckenbauer.
No, that's good. That's a good pull, but no, incorrect. As a Premier League manager, I won 3 titles and 7 FA Cups.
Three titles and 7 FA Cups. Jeez, okay, now we're talking. I should be getting this. Come on. No pressure. And it better not be a Chelsea manager. Surely not. Come on now. Oh, it's got to be our Frenchman. It's got to be Arsene Wenger.
Mate, you've cracked it.
Yep, has to be.
30 points.
The man.
30 points. That's a good start, to be fair. 30's a good mark. That's a good mark.
Yeah, probably should have known that a bit earlier thinking about it now, but yeah, okay. No, that's cool. We'll take that. We'll take the 30.
Well done, mate. Yeah, I thought the 7 FA Cups would be the giveaway there.
Yeah.
I think they might be the most.
I think they are. I think not many clubs in the FA Cup ranks anyway have done that. So
Yep.
no, that's good. Close to home as well.
Yep.
Come on, you Gunners.
Yeah. Wow. They didn't do much last night, did they?
Well, they didn't have Wenger at the helm. That's why. Shouldn't have bloody retired. But anyway.
So yeah, we'll go outside and shoot some pins, mate. Just as always, the blue targets are worth 10 points if you can get them in the bottom corner. Top targets are worth 20. You score the goal, 5 points. You miss the target, -5. So we'll go out there, mate, and see how you do.
Yeah, well, no pressure at the state I'm in today after a big game yesterday. I'll be lucky to bloody hit the ball. So.
Oh, the state you're in, the state I'm in, I'm going to be lucky to even dive.
You're always in the state, mate. But given the goalkeeping display last week, there's a glimmer of chance, I reckon. It's bloody awful. So we'll see how we go.
That's righto, mate. We'll head out there. Oh, penalties this week with Dion. He's just done a FIFA 11 warm-up and about half an hour of stretching, which is the first time I've seen that for 5 pins. So
we're taking this pretty seriously, eh? So
yeah. No excuses. Yep. No excuses.
Well, after last week's performance, if I can't score one past you, I'll be pretty pissed off.
Have you got a prediction, mate? What do you reckon?
We'll go 4 out of 5. I mean,
4 out of 5.
Defender's chance here, 4 out of 5.
Beautiful. Yep. Righto. Let's see how you do, mate.
Rightio.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free with me.
Oh, mate, 4 from 5, 20 points, plus your 30 for the Who Am I? Top of the leaderboard. You'll be stoked.
Oh, hey, look, you're always happy to be near the top, I guess, but yeah, pretty disappointed with those pins, if I'm honest. I don't know where that save came out from. I am sort of thinking last week, it's got to be like a Bruce Grobbelaar, Hansi Cronje type setup. That's got to be a match fix. Those goalkeeping standard from last week to this week is incredibly different. But anyway, we'll take
I should probably be more hungover every week, to be fair, because I just don't care. I just throw the body around.
Yeah, no, that first save went well, but yeah, no, that's good. We'll take that and put the pressure on some of these guys coming up in the remaining weeks and keep them honest.
Yep, no, good work, mate. And hey, look, that's us for another week. Obviously, big thank you to the Kelvin Hotel. We don't have any games this week, do we? The Football South Premier League team are playing here on Friday.
Yeah,
I believe it's 2:45.
Yep, yeah, that's right. Yep.
But there's no other club football this weekend because of Easter, and I think the season kicks off next week, doesn't it?
Pretty much straight into it. Yep, which is good.
So no, yeah, that's good stuff. Also, a big thank you to some of our smaller sponsors: Nins Electrical, Downer, GD Electrical, the Rat. The Rat loves it, eh?
Of course he does.
Winton and Invercargill Flooring Extra, Niagara Sawmilling, Hop and Vine, and Local Pack.
Local Pack,
Fit for you.
Yeah, yep, throw those in there, yep.
So, unfortunately, I'm actually away next week as well, so I will miss the game. I'm going to take a week off, and we'll be back in once the season starts, and I believe I've got the myth, the legend, Corey Johnson lined up for the episode, so that'll be
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting.
It will be. I hope you got the sensor button handy.
Yeah, but hey, thanks, Dion. Cheers for coming on, mate.
Right.
Pleasure
Absolute
to have
pleasure.
you here, and obviously we appreciate the work you're doing with that academy. You keep it up, mate. You're doing a great job.
Yep, no, absolute pleasure, mate. Club's in a good place, and yeah, just a small part in the big puzzle. So we'll keep it up, and yeah, like I said, best of luck for kick-off for the season, and everyone having a good Easter, and all the rest of it. We'll be into it.
Yeah, beautiful. Righto, team. Cheers for another week. See you next time, and remember, Queen's Park for life.